Zikona, this is the last thing this family needed. Just take us through this issue around the docket not being in court.
So it was a very brief appearance. Nothing much happened in court. The magistrate just said that the docket from the investigating officer is not before the court, so therefore the matter cannot continue. It's postponed now for the 6th of November. So certainly the family very disappointed, because this is the second postponement in this matter, because she appeared shortly after she was arrested for her first court appearance, and then that was postponed to today, and now another postponement. So they want to put the matter to bed. They just want justice to be served for the death of their young one.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can just look at that mother's face with grief etched on her face. It's difficult to actually look at her while she's speaking to you. And it's absolutely unacceptable that this has happened.
It is unacceptable, and actually, shortly after the case was postponed, we were standing outside with the family, and only then did the investigating officer arrive in court. And the community was there to support the family, and they were saying, why are you only arriving now, and why were you not picking up the calls of the mother, because you should have been in court so that the matter can stand. And they must know whether, because they're not sure if the childminder is going to apply for bail or not. And what they want is to see how the magistrate will react to that. Will she stay behind bars until this whole thing is concluded, or will she be released on bail? Because she's not from South Africa, so there's also the fear that she may leave and go home. But certainly very disappointing, because when we tried to speak to the investigating officer, when the community tried to speak to him and ask him questions as to why he was not in court, he didn't even offer them any explanation. He just said, I've spoken to the family, and the family says, you didn't speak to us. We didn't know. We came to court expecting proceedings to go ahead, and today we come here again and we're told the matter is postponed because the docket is not before the court.
I mean, it's unacceptable, and it's heartbreaking because of the toll we know this must be taking on this family coming to court every day. Just for our viewers who perhaps are just tuning in for the first time, perhaps hearing of the story, take us through what we understand happened to this little girl.
So what we understand happened is that the mother says she arrived home with her aunt. The house was closed, and they knocked around, and then eventually the nanny opened, 51-year-old woman, opened the door and told them that the child had been kidnapped. And the kidnappers also poisoned her and the child. So when she was at home alone, she was sweating, she had some scars on her, which we later in the police statement on the matter, it says it was self-inflicted scars. And they tried to help her. And while they were trying to help her, they went to another room in the house to get a bucket to put water in to clean her up. When they got there, the aunt got there was the child lying on the ground with a bandage stuffed in his mouth, and he was dead, lifeless. She screamed, the paramedics came, they took the child, and the child was declared dead shortly after they found him. Then she was arrested. The police found there were no traces of poison in her body, and the post-mortem of the child revealed that he died from being strangled and being suffocated. So the police say they arrested the childminder because their preliminary investigation linked her very close to the case. So when we visited the family last week, the mother was just in shock. She says they had named him Langelihle because they had so much hope for him. They had so many dreams for his life. And at 1 year, 9 months, that has all been cut short. It's her first and only child. So she's not taking it well. He was buried last week, Thursday, and she has promised that she will go to every court case when the childminder is appearing before court, because she just wants to see justice served.
Absolutely. Just a heartbreaking story. Just give us a reminder again when they are back in court.
They're back in court on the 6th of November, which is next week, Wednesday.
All right. Well, thanks very much for that. My colleague Zikona Chona there. This heartbreaking story of this toddler who mysteriously died in the care of a childminder.